What if your life doesn't feel out of control? Because life is hard, but because your day is, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet, subtle way, the kind where nothing is completely wrong, but nothing is really right either. You wake up, check your phone, scroll for a few minutes, maybe more. Then suddenly you're already behind. The day hasn't even started, and you already feel late, rushed, scattered. And the weird part? You can't even point to one big problem. It's just everything. Too many thoughts, too many things to do, too little focus. So you move through the day reacting, notifications, messages, random tasks, urgent things that weren't even important, and by the end of it, you feel exhausted, but not accomplished. And that feeling, it builds, day after day, until one quiet thought starts showing up more often than you'd like. Why does it feel like I'm not in control of my own life? Be honest, have you felt that? Because if you have, this isn't about being lazy, and it's definitely not about not wanting success. It's something deeper, something most people never stop to question, and this is where it starts to shift. Because the truth is simple, uncomfortable, but powerful. Your life feels chaotic because your day is uncontrolled. Let that sit for a second, not your goals, not your dreams. Your day. The small, ordinary, repeated 24 hours you keep living on loop. Because here's the part nobody tells you. You don't lose your life all at once. You lose it in pieces, minutes, hours, tiny decisions that don't feel important in the moment, but stack up over time. Now here's a question most people avoid. Why do your days keep slipping away? Even when you know better, why do you wake up with intention and end the day with regret? Think about it for a second, because the answer isn't what you expect. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you're not capable. It's that you're not running your day. Your day is running you, and it's doing it through patterns. Invisible ones. You don't decide what to do. You react to what shows up. You don't control your focus. Your environment controls it for you. You don't choose your priorities. They get decided by whatever feels urgent. And slowly, without realizing it, you become a passenger in your own life. Now here's where it gets real. Because part of you already knows this. You felt it, that moment in the middle of the day. When you pause and think, what am I even doing right now? And for a second, you want to change it. You want to take control. Start fresh. Do things differently. But then, something pulls you back. A notification. A distraction. A thought like, I'll fix it tomorrow. And just like that, the moment passes. And tomorrow, it looks exactly like today. So let me ask you something. Which one are you right now? Someone who's running their day, or someone who's being run by it? No pressure, just be honest. Because this is where the story actually begins. Not when everything is perfect, but when you finally see the problem clearly. And that's what's happening right now. You're starting to notice the pattern, the loop, the repetition. Wake up. React. Rush. Drift. Regret. Repeat. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But here's the uncomfortable part. Seeing it doesn't fix it. In fact, sometimes it makes it worse, because now you're aware, but still stuck. You know what you should be doing, but you're not doing it. And that gap between knowing and doing, that's where frustration lives. That's where self-doubt grows. You start thinking, why can't I just control myself? I know better than this. And slowly, that thought turns into identity. I'm not disciplined. I can't stay consistent. I always fall back. Now here's the shift most people never make. You're not failing because you lack discipline. You're failing because your day has no structure, no system, no control points. So everything depends on how you feel in the moment. And feelings? They change. Constantly. Which means your day changes. Constantly. And that's chaos. Quiet chaos, the kind that doesn't look dramatic, but slowly drains your life. Now here's where things start to change in a way most people never experience. Because this next realization, it flips everything you've been taught. You don't need more motivation. You need control. And not over your whole life, just over your day. But here's where most people hesitate. Because control sounds restrictive, like you'll lose freedom, like your life will become rigid. But wait till you hear this. Real freedom doesn't come from having no structure. It comes from having the right structure, because right now, you're not free. You're just reacting. And reacting isn't freedom, it's dependency. Dependency on what shows up, on how you feel, on what distracts you next. And once you see that, you can't go back. So the real question isn't, do you want success? It's this. Are you ready to take control of your day, even when it feels uncomfortable? Because this next part, this is where everything begins to shift. There's a moment, small, almost invisible, where control begins. Not when you feel motivated, not when everything is perfectly set up, but when you decide, today, I'm not reacting. At first, it sounds simple, almost too simple. But the second you try it, you feel resistance. You wake up. Your hand reaches for your phone, automatically, like it always does. And that's when it hits you. You're not choosing this. You're repeating it. And that realization, it's uncomfortable, because now you see it. The habit, the pattern, the autopilot. So you pause just for a second. And that pause, that's the beginning of control. But here's the part nobody tells you. That pause feels unnatural, even wrong, like you're breaking something. Because you are. You're breaking the loop your brain is used to. And your brain doesn't like that. It wants easy, familiar, predictable. So it pushes back. Just check your phone. It's not a big deal. You can start later. And if you're not aware, you listen. You always have. But this time, you don't. You put the phone down. And suddenly, there's silence. No noise. No distraction. Just you. And your thoughts. And for a moment, that feels uncomfortable. 'Cause you're not used to it. Now here's a question. Why does being alone with your own thoughts feel harder than being distracted? Don't answer it yet. Just notice it, because that question changes everything. But this is where things get real. Because controlling your day doesn't start with productivity. It starts with awareness. You begin to notice everything. How quickly you switch tasks. How often you reach for distraction. How easily your focus breaks. And once you see it, you realize something important. You're not bad at focus. You've just never trained it, just like a muscle. Weak, not broken. And weak things can be strengthened. But here's where most people mess up. They try to change everything at once. Wake up early, work out, eat clean. Stay focused, be productive all day. And it lasts, maybe 2 days. Then they crash, because they overloaded the system. So here's the shift. You don't take control of your entire day at once. You take control of moments, one decision at a time, one block of time at a time. And that's enough. Because control isn't built in intensity. It's built in consistency. Now imagine this. You decide on one simple rule. For the first hour of your day, no phone, no distractions, just intentional action. That's it. Sounds easy, right? Try it. You'll feel it immediately. That pull, that urge, that voice saying, "This is boring. This isn't working. This isn't you." And that voice? That's your old identity trying to survive. Because if you change your day, you change who you are. And your brain resists that. Hard. But here's the truth. Growth always feels like loss at first. Loss of comfort, loss of ease, loss of your old patterns. And most people go back. Not because they can't change, but because they don't understand this part. They think discomfort means they're doing something wrong. But it's the opposite. It means you're doing something new. Now let me say something most people won't admit. I want control. but I also want comfort. Both, at the same time. But you can't have both. Not in the beginning. You either stay comfortable and let the day run you, or you feel uncomfortable and start running your day. Which one are you choosing right now? Be honest, because this is where the shift becomes real. Not in your thoughts, in your actions. And it doesn't require perfection. It requires standards. Simple, non-negotiable standards, like you decide what time your day starts and you honor it. No snoozing, no delay. You decide what matters today, and you focus on it first. Before anything else, you decide when you'll rest, instead of collapsing into it. And suddenly, your day isn't random anymore. It has shape, direction, control. But wait till you hear this. There's something that will try to break this control, even after you start building it, and almost nobody sees it coming. It's not distraction, it's not laziness, it's something more subtle, more dangerous, and if you don't catch it, you'll slowly lose everything you've started building. It doesn't come in loud. It doesn't look like failure. It feels reasonable. That's what makes it dangerous. You've had a solid morning. You stayed off your phone. You focused. You actually did what you said you would, and for a moment, it feels good. Different. Like you're finally getting control. And then your brain whispers something soft. You've earned a break. Seems fair, right? You worked. You showed discipline, so you relax a little. Check your phone, scroll for a few minutes. Nothing extreme, nothing dramatic. But here's the part that matters. You don't come back the same. Your focus is slightly weaker. Your urgency fades. Your edge softens. And just like that, your day starts drifting. Not crashing. Drifting. And drift is what ruins most people. Not failure, not big mistakes. Just slow, quiet, loss of control. Now think about this. How many times have you had a good start to the day, only to lose it halfway through? Be honest, because this is the pattern. Start strong, relax, drift, regret, repeat. So what's the fix? Do you never take breaks? Do you push all day? No, that's not control. That's burnout. This next part changes everything. You don't earn distractions. You schedule recovery. Big difference, because when you earn a break, you leave it open. Uncontrolled, endless, but when you schedule it, it has boundaries. Start time. End time, purpose. And that keeps you in control, even while resting. Let that sink in, because this is where most people lose their day. Not when they're working, when they're taking a break. Now here's a question most people avoid. Why do your breaks turn into hours? Why does a 5-minute scroll become 45? Why does just one video turn into a full loop? Don't answer quickly, actually think about it. Because the answer exposes something deeper. It's not the content, it's escape. You're not taking a break. You're avoiding something, a task, a feeling, a responsibility. And that's why it stretches. Because avoidance doesn't have a limit. Now here's the shift. When you control your day, you don't escape it. You face it, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable, and that's what builds real control. But this is where most people hesitate, because facing things requires energy, focus, mental strength. And some days, you don't feel like you have it. You feel tired, drained, off. So what do you do then? Do you give up the day? Let it run you again? Or do you adjust without losing control? This is the part most people never learn. Control doesn't mean intensity. It means intention. On high-energy days, you go hard. You execute. You build momentum. On low-energy days, you simplify. You reduce. But you don't abandon. That's the difference. You don't need a perfect day. You need a controlled one, even if it's slower, even if it's lighter, because consistency beats intensity every time. Now let me say something that might hit a little deeper. I'll start tomorrow is the most expensive sentence you keep repeating, because tomorrow isn't a fresh start. It's a continuation of today. So if today is uncontrolled, tomorrow will be too. And that realization, it shifts something. Because now, today matters more than ever. Not in a stressful way, in a real way, a grounded way. Now here's a quiet challenge. If this is hitting you, if you're seeing your own patterns in this, don't overthink it. Just acknowledge it. Because awareness is the first step to control, and you're already there. But here's where it gets even more real, and because there's one final shift that separates people who try to control their day from those who actually do. And once you understand it, you won't go back. Here's the shift that changes everything. You stop treating your day like something that happens to you, and you start treating it like something you design, not perfectly, not rigidly, but intentionally. Because up until now, you've been waking up and stepping into a day that already has momentum, other people's priorities, notifications, messages, noise, and you just enter it, unprepared, unclear, reactive. But what if your day didn't start when you woke up? What if it started the night before? That's where control actually begins. Quietly. When no one's watching, you decide what tomorrow looks like. Before it begins, just a few things, not a long list, not overwhelming. Clear. Specific. Important, and that alone changes how you wake up. You're not guessing anymore. You're not drifting. You already know where your attention goes. Now here's the part nobody expects. This doesn't make your day easier. It makes it clearer. And clarity removes friction. Because most of your stress isn't from doing too much. It's from not knowing what matters. So you do everything, and nothing feels meaningful. But when your day has direction, even hard things feel manageable. Now think about this. How different would your life feel if most of your days felt clear instead of chaotic? Not perfect, just clear. That's what control gives you, not magic, not instant success, just direction. And direction compounds. Now here's something subtle, but powerful. You don't need to control every hour of your day. You just need to control the key moments, the start, the transitions, the end. Because those moments set the tone for everything else. If your morning is reactive, your whole day follows. If your transitions are messy, your focus breaks. If your day ends without reflection, you repeat the same mistakes. So instead, you anchor them. Morning, you start with intention. No chaos, no noise, just clarity. Midday, you reset. Check your direction. Adjust if needed, not drift. Evening, you close the day. Not collapse into it. You look back, you notice what worked, what didn't, and you carry that forward. That's control. Simple, but rare. And here's the truth. Most people will hear this, understand it, and still not apply it. Not because they don't want to, but because it requires something uncomfortable, consistency, not for a day, not for a week, but long enough that it becomes who you are, and that's the real goal. Not controlling one perfect day, becoming someone who controls their days. That's identity, and identity is what makes it stick. So now let me ask you something, not as a question to answer out loud, but something to actually feel. If you kept living your days the way you are right now, where would that take you? A year from now, 5 years from now? Same patterns, same distractions, same lack of control. Does that sit right with you? Or does something inside you say, that's not who I want to be? Because that feeling, that quiet resistance, that's the part of you that's ready. Ready to stop drifting. Ready to stop reacting. Ready to take control. Not in a dramatic way. In a real one. A daily one. A repeatable one. Now here's the final truth. You don't need a new life. You need a new way to run your day. That's it. Because your life is just your days repeated. So if you take control of your days, you take control of your life. Simple, but powerful. And one day, You'll notice something different. You're not overwhelmed anymore, not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. You're not constantly tired, because you're not constantly scattered. You're not stuck, because you're finally moving with direction. And the best part? You trust yourself again. You say you'll do something, and you do it. No negotiation, no delay, just action. And that feeling, that quiet confidence, that's what most people are really chasing. Not success, not money. Control. Over themselves, over their time, over their life. So if this hits something real in you, don't ignore it. Stay with it, because this isn't about watching a video. It's about changing how you live, one day at a time. And if you want more like this, subscribe and start becoming the person who runs their day instead of being run by it.